All right, welcome back to KM6LYW Radio, the show about amateur radio or ham radio with an emphasis on digital or data modes, moving information back and forth, trying to reimagine amateur radio in the information age. Today is a great example. We've got a new release of the DigiPi. It's an all-mode data transceiver hotspot for your amateur radio. Let's talk about it this time on KM6LYW Radio. All right, yeah, welcome back. Yeah, that's the bumper music. We're still getting away with that. So, hey, back to the channel. So the DigiPi, let's talk about it a little bit. I'm not going to demonstrate every mode. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it, how to get it, why you want one. If you're into data modes, this thing implements every data mode you can think of, literally. I mean, we're talking about FT8, JS8 call, WinLink, packet, slow scan television, AX.25, APRS networking, that's a popular one. In fact, I've even gotten IP over AX.25 to work, so actual internet connections between two radios. So this thing is super versatile and it hooks up to any radio. So I know what you're thinking, Craig, this is another kind of half-baked Raspberry Pi project. It's going to be complicated. I'm not a programmer or a Linux guy. I don't understand any of this. So no, this isn't like that at all. This is really to increase adoption for data modes and make this really easy. This is kind of like an appliance. In fact, you'll notice over here the DigiPi doesn't have a monitor or keyboard or anything attached to it. It is simply connected to a ICOM 705 right now on an APRS frequency. And the reason we don't have a monitor keyboard is because you already have a monitor or keyboard in your pocket. So the DigiPi actually runs on your phone or any Wi-Fi device, anything with a web browser, honestly. In fact, I like to use this tablet with DigiPi. DigiPi is a hotspot, so you don't need complicated networking. It's a Wi-Fi hotspot. If you want to connect it to your home network, that's cool too. But all of these data operations are performed with using nothing more than your phone, or maybe more specifically a web browser. This works with all radios. There's like two different builds. So you can get DigiPi to work with a traditional dual bander like this. You'll need a little extra hardware. You'll need an audio card in this case to attach to your Raspberry Pi. So, well, I got the hardware out here. So if I've learned anything from the ham radio community, it's that you guys are cheap. So when we're talking about the hardware, this is a Raspberry Pi 02 wireless. It is $15. $15. Okay, so if you need an audio card because you have a dual band rig like this, this is maybe an extra $20 for this guy. And we do have a little circuit diagram out here to actually build a push-to-talk circuit if you want to go that route. And again, that's for a dual bander. If you don't want to build a circuit and you've got a USB-based radio, you'll notice this uses a USB cable. That's all you need. If you have an ICOM 705 or a Yaesu 991 like we've got over there, ICOM 7300, a bunch of the Jaegu models, anything with a USB port where we're doing CAT and audio over USB, all you need is a USB cable and a Raspberry Pi and the cool little screen. Don't forget the little screen. This is like $12 for this little screen, okay? So get that also, and then you got a complete DigiPi. So what I like to use this for is like for parks on the air or summits on the air. So the Raspberry Pi, we're only talking about not even 200 milliamps. So this thing will run on a battery all day and drive your radio. And then you can bring it home and then operate it like from your easy chair. You could be in the other room operating the DigiPi, doing data modes, FT8, JS8 call, chatting with your other radio friends in digital modes, and using nothing more than your phone and your easy chair in the living room next to the XYL. She thinks you're just messing with your phone, but you're actually operating the radio. I mean, I won't tell if you don't, right? Okay, so anyways, that's the point of the DigiPi. It's not a typical Raspberry Pi project. You can get access to all these modes and use your radio with using nothing more than your Wi-Fi connected device. Okay, so the new features in DigiPi 1.8 are Raspberry Pi 5 support. So this is the brand new Raspberry Pi. This will only run on Raspberry Pi, by the way, because it's based on Raspberry Pi OS. These are available now, and they're cheap. Again, $15 for Raspberry Pi 0. I think we're getting this Raspberry Pi 5 over there. Attached to that Yaesu, I think that's about $60 for the 4 gig model, and it is a screamer. Oh my gosh, this Raspberry Pi 5 is it fast. Honestly though, I still like the Raspberry Pi 0 here as my main Raspberry Pi because it's enough. It's just enough, has just enough memory. DigiPi is built on a 512 megabyte memory budget, so all of these apps run by themselves and fit perfectly in memory at full speed. So that is the Raspberry Pis that we're working with for DigiPi. It works on all of them. And And of course, with the new Raspberry Pi 5 support, we have the Debian 12 Bookworm operating system, which comes with all of the latest versions of all the applications. So for WSJTX, it's the latest version there. JS8 Call, SSTV, FLDigi, you're getting the latest version of that. Direwolf, which is kind of the packet modem backend, that's been upgraded to 1.7. Newer versions of Hamlib. There's more radios that are supported with this, at least for USB and cat control. Bookworm, or this OS, is still a little bit immature. I had to go to source code on a lot of these packages like Direwolf and Hamlib and fix some of the issues that came up with the latest versions of everything. But suffice to say, you don't have to fuss with all that stuff. Everything just works out of the box. It's basically an appliance. In fact, it is a read-only file system, so you don't even have to shut it down when you're done. When you're done using DigiPi, just pull the power on it. There's no file system corruption or anything like that. So really think of it as an appliance. A lot of people know about the MobiLink D. It's a little device that does packet modes. This does all of that and more, much, much more. So this is a kind of a competitor to MobiLink D. MobiLink D is a great device, don't get me wrong. The form factor and power usage is amazing, but it's $130 for a MobiLink D. Raspberry Pi is $15, an extra $12 for the screen, a couple of bucks into this Patreon account, and you've got a complete MobiLink D solution here based on Raspberry Pi, plus so much more, plus every single data mode you can think of. All right, so those are the new features. One other thing is that, we left some of the iOS people out of this. There's an app called APRS.fi that will use a Bluetooth TNC or an IP TNC for packet radio. This DigiPi now works with that. We've got Avahi support working there. So the iOS app now works with DigiPi. That's a new thing with version 1.8. I didn't want to leave our Apple users out in the alert chair with DigiPi. So let's do a demonstration. We talked about the hardware. I've got an ICOM 705 here. It's a really overpriced radio, and all it does is voice. Like $1,000 for one of these radios, and it does voice. For an extra $50, this ICOM can be turned into a data packet workhorse just by plugging in this Raspberry Pi. So right now it's doing APRS or TNC duty, like APRS Droid or the new APRS.fi app. You'll notice that I can do start tracking, and it will start displaying all of the packet information as it starts coming down from the DigiPi. So here it comes. I don't know, maybe you guys see that better. There's APRS Droid, totally connected to the DigiPi over Bluetooth, doing APRS packet duty, and you can see the little the Bluetooth light is on there, and it has send and receive lights. We can see our station activity. And what's cool with APRS packet is you can actually do messaging. I can send messages to all of these stations. I don't have to type on this little radio to do messaging. Typing on one of these is hard. Typing on your tablet is super easy, or even in a web browser. In fact, we've got some better examples of doing that with APRS. So that is APRS Droid working with DigiPi. We've also got a cool feature. Actually, what I might do is say, hey, all of this is, like I said, web-based. So this is like a web server that's inside the DigiPi. And so you point your web browser at the DigiPi. It can be on your network, or it can be a hotspot. Like when you're in the mountains, you don't even need internet. The DigiPi, if it comes up in the mountains, it'll suddenly become a hotspot. You just connect to it on your phone via Wi-Fi and go to the DigiPi website, which is in the DigiPi. And actually, it's 10.0.0.5 if you're in the parks and the mountains, and you get this website. So all of these things up here, the different services, the DigiPi can, basically what DigiPi can become. So we've got the TNC and APRS iGate. That's what it's doing right now. And you can do the same thing on HF. Did you guys know there's APRS on HF? Totally cool. You can be an APRS digipeater, repeat packets with a little HT like this. If you want to instantly have an APRS digipeater, just press on next to the APRS digipeater. This will do APRS web chat. Remember I talked about doing messaging on APRS, so this actually has a web-based interface for messaging. That's brand new with DigiPi. In fact, it's never been implemented anywhere else because we developed it here at KM6LIW Radio. In fact, WB4BOR Walt was huge on the APRS web chat stuff. We can do Linux node services, so this actually has a bulletin board built into it. I actually put some text adventure games on there, so you can actually log into someone's remote remote radio or DigiPi as a bulletin board service, talk with people, play Zork, the Colossal Caves. I've got Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Those text adventure games are there. So you can set up a Linux node, and it has NetROM and all the traditional packet stuff people come to expect. This can be a WinLink email server. So let's say you're in the middle of nowhere, you want to spin up, a Win email server here at home and log into it remotely. You can totally do that over AX.25. It has a PAT email client with your inbox, your outbox, sending and addressing messages. It has an RDOT modem for doing email over HF. I had to go back to source on this one to get this to work with John Wiseman to get RDOT working. It's working flawlessly on the DigiPi 1.8. WSJTX, these are the big GUI apps. So these are the ones you interact with for really ultra low signal to noise ratio stuff. FT8, we've got slow scan television for sharing images. We've got JS8 call, which is kind of like FT8, although you can do messaging back and forth with other operators. And lastly, we've got FLDigi, which does every other mode that I haven't even mentioned, PSK31 and even CW. So I can't demonstrate all of these. I've got other videos for that. One of the cool things that I wanted to maybe demonstrate here today was the APRS web chat service. So I click on next to APRS web chat, and we see a little green light pop up there. And then I come down here to these launch links. This is what opens those apps in your web browser. So now it's in APRS web chat mode. I come down here and click on web chat. And we will wait for it. And the web chat is an APRS messaging interface. So I can talk to other radios. Let me close these here. So if I want to send a message to a radio called, let me zoom this in. That's too big. A popular one is WXBot. And I can set the APRS path, set it to wide 11. And I think you can type your zip code. Actually, before I do this, I'm actually going to do a send position here. And then when I send a position, you'll see the DigiPi actually transmit. Let's see how this works. All right, and everything will turn red and go crazy here. All right, that's probably good enough. All right, I'm going to do a send position. We're going to see a transmission. Notice the radio turned red. Actually, my HT just beeped because it heard its own call sign. So we just sent a position beacon. So now let's send the message of weather to a station called WXBot. We're going to send that right now. If I can turn off my HT here, it's going to start replying. You can see the sending and transmitting of packet data is happening on the radio. And that's what packet radio sounds like, right? So I actually got a response from the WXBot virtual radio station. It says, hey, I'm 8 miles east of Auburn. Today, slight chance of showers, then showers 100%. It's going to rain today. And it's going to be a high of 48 degrees Fahrenheit. No, not Celsius. Yeah, I know it's scalding hot Celsius. So anyways, it totally works. I just did APRS messaging. You can do SMS messaging. There's a station out there called SMS. Go ahead and look that one up, and you can send messages to phone numbers using this. So this is the APRS instant messaging interface that comes with DigiPi. And so this is kind of like the web-based messaging, because typing out messages on one of these radios it's hard to do. You can do it if you had to. So, okay, so I'm going to no longer make this an APRS web chat server. I'm going to disable that. What else can we do? I think we already talked about using this as a TNC with our APRS Droid apps. What else can we do? We can do well, when you first get the DigiPi, in fact, I should have mentioned this earlier. There's an initialize link down here, and this is where you put in all of your information, like your call sign, your WinLink password, your grid square, your rig number, all of this stuff. So you enter all this data once, and then it goes out and populates all of the apps on the DigiPi. So you don't have to, reconfigure every single app with your call sign. So this is the initialize screen. It totally sets up DigiPi and makes it your own. And so when you open an app or when you start an iGate, it already has your call sign pre-assigned, and that's how you show up on APRS.fi. So let's talk about, I don't know, a good one. I know a lot of people really like WSJTX FT8, so I'm going to click on right here to put it in a WSJTX mode. And if you look over here on the DigiPi, it'll actually say WSJTX FT8 mode, and it gives you a little URL you can go to so you can operate FT8. I have to switch over to the HF antenna. So goodbye VHF and hello HF. Go over here like this. And there we go. We're on the HF antenna, and it looks like it already switched over to HF. Yeah, WSJTX does that. Switches over to HF, or at least in the VFO mode. So now it's a WSJTX FT8 client, and all we have to do to see what's going on is click on the launch link down here. What do I got? WSJTX FT8. And we actually get FT8 in a window. Actually, it doesn't have to be zoomed. And we can operate FT8. And I'm just using a web browser. This could equally be my tablet here operating FT8. In fact, I could actually show you guys. Just works on a web browser, or you can use a VNC client. So here's FT8 running on my tablet. I could be in the easy chair in the other room, in the other end of the house, and be operating FT8 here at the house. So actually, we're on the wrong frequency. We're on, let's switch it over to 14074. We're going to operate. I'm going to see if I can make a contact. All right, so FT8 is running in the Raspberry Pi, displaying in the web browser on the PC here, or on my tablet, or on my phone. What's cool is you can use the keyboard and stuff with this too. So, okay, we got FT8 running there. We're getting contacts. They are rolling in on 20 meters. I'm just going to go ahead and minimize this. Disconnect that. So we got contacts on 20. I don't know how we doing. The noise floor isn't too bad. I'm just going to actually start see if I can contact somebody. How about KL5DY. I can do enable transmit. And you'll notice that the transmit light, or it was on our ICOM 705. And I'm going to actually pause you guys just for a second because I don't want you to have to wait for frame after frame. But we're going to see if we can make a contact using FT8 with the DigiPi and our ICOM, using nothing more than our web browser here. So I'm going to call him a few times. Let's see. We are transmitting right now. You can see the ICOM is transmitting. That's what that single line is on 20 meters. And we're going to see if he gets back to us here on FT8. So his signal is actually, he's a -2. That's pretty good. You know, and you see this is a frame-based application. So there's 15-second frames. So you need to know exactly what the time is. So this will get the time from your ICOM 705 through the GPS that's embedded inside of the radio, which is pretty cool. Also, you can get a USB dongle with a GPS in it, plug that into DigiPi, and when you boot it up, it will get the time from the satellites, and then you can unplug the GPS and you're online. So you can get network time, which is critical for these time-based applications. Using the GPS either in your radio or from a dongle. And hey, sure enough, we've got KL5DY. Thank you. We've got a response from you. He's a -2. I'm receiving him at -2. That's what we're telling him. Let's see, KM6, he says, I am at a 0. That's not bad. You know, this is the 10-watt radio, right? I don't know where he is. KL5DY. I don't know where's the 5-lander. I'm a 6-lander, so I'm in California. So, you know, we're going probably 1,000 miles to talk to him, to at least to get that contact here on FT8. So that's pretty cool. In fact, on this next frame, we should confirm this contact. Can't believe it worked on the first time. You know, usually I got antenna problems or I'm getting jammed by noise. There is the, I know we should have mentioned this, there is the waterfall right underneath here. And hey, this is just confirming the contact. So I received a 0 and I sent him a -2. So he's next door. Radio's working great. And of course, the waterfall is underneath here. You know, if you want, what I should have done is set this up right from the get-go. Why, it's busy today. Find a little spot to live there in the waterfall. But that's how that works, and you can just make this big again. So that's FT8. We just operated FT8 using nothing more than a web browser over Wi-Fi, talking to the DigiPi, which is connected to our radio. There are many, many more modes that we can play with on the DigiPi. I'm not going to do them all in this video because I try and keep these down to about 10 minutes. So I just wanted to make sure you guys knew there's a new version of DigiPi, version 1.8 to the patrons. It works on the latest Raspberry Pi OS. It works on the Raspberry Pi 5. In fact, you can see the 5 over here is doing APRS duty right now. So it's pretty cool. So again, like I said, this goes to patrons of the channel. This would not exist without you guys. Just anything in the Patreon account gets you access to the DigiPi. That money is mostly for beer and taking out the XYL out to dinner now and then. So, you know, when she says, why do you sit in that room and just listen to static all day? You know, I can say, well, hey, you know, I'm doing DigiPi stuff. That's what all that is about. So patrons, thank you. Steve, Andrew, NW2W, that's Mark, Fu, Brian, Chris, Malcolm, Jim, Jake, Paul, Ryan, Buddy, Brown. Thank you guys. Robert, Kevin, Eddie, Aaron from Ham Radio Outlet. Thank you, Aaron. William, Jeff Scott, W0LED. That's a cool call sign. I don't know. I kind of like that call sign. Q1Q, thank you very much. Matthew, thank you guys. There are so many of you now. I wish I could read all of the names here, but this is insane. The level of support has been overwhelming. I don't know how I'm going to scroll through all of these in the future. See, that's half of you guys right now. I am still scrolling. Thank you guys. Every little bit counts. It pays for all of this broken hardware that I have lying all over my desk. please go out to patreon.com/km6lyw. Anything gets you access to the DigiPi, and then go out to digipi.org. digipi.org to go ahead and download that image. We've got all kinds of resources out there for you. We've got a Google group, we've got a Discord channel, we've got schematics if you want to do that little push to talk circuit, for your dual bander rig like this guy. Schematics are out there, really easy to use. A good group of people. In fact, Steve did these layouts for us here. It's fantastic. It's how to use the DigiPi, how to initialize it. I've got a bunch of videos on how to do this. There's more demonstrations of the different modes you can use, how to build these things, and that's all out on digipi.org. All right, guys, thanks for listening, and thanks for helping with the DigiPi project. I really appreciate it. My name is Craig, call sign KM6LYW. I'm in California, and I'm clear.